This is a demonstration of the legal description writer in ServCAD. This tool is found under the Tools pull-down menu, Legal Description in the middle. You'll notice that I have a polyline with multiple straight and curved segments, as well as points at the ends of these vertices that have descriptions. First step when entering the legal description writer is to pick your polyline boundary. Next step is to pick reference lines. In this case, I have a reference line at the top that connects to the boundary at one point and goes to a reference point which happens to have no description. So I'll just simply type in a brief one. If one had been found, it would have shown up on the list. And you would continue to pick reference lines until you have no additional reference lines. The input section at the top, header and footer file, we have none available. But if you had text files that explained the information that you would like to show at the beginning of each legal description created, you would specify that file by either typing in the name or choosing it from the file selection dialog box. Same with the footer file. If you had a text file that explained the information you wanted to appear at the bottom of your legal descriptions, you would choose it. It would remain in place until you removed it. There are several output options which I'll return to in a moment. First, I'd like to explain some of the settings. There are a large number of settings, nearly 100 settings that can be established. However, it has good industry standard defaults to begin with, so many settings may not be necessary at all. First, under bearing, you'll notice that you've got complete control whether or not there's a space after the letter N or whether it says the word north, so forth. Under Quadwords, in the event that a bearing were to go due north, south, east, or west, the question is whether it would display a bearing such as N000000E or instead use a one-word quad so that it says instead thence north instead of the numeric bearing. In the symbol section, you can choose the degree symbol that's actually used. If your output is to a word processor, then you would want to use a degree sign. However, depending on your needs, if your output was to go to a drawing, you may want to use the AutoCAD coding for that of %D instead. You can control whether or not it shows the minutes and seconds to control the precision of the legal description as well as the characters thereof, or the word if you prefer them. Certain areas use deflection angles for secondary angles. The initial bearing is used. Following bearings are determined by deflections. That's an option. Next, we'll cover line, which briefly has the words that you use for the beginning and ending. Under distance, you'll notice that you can have control over the prefix as well as primary and secondary units. If you wish to use secondary units, you could turn that on, specifying the precision thereof for those people who wish to use feet and meters. In this case, we'll take only feet. Curve parameters. As you can see, we have a large number of curve parameters. First of all, the general specifications on how the curve information will read, the beginning verbiage, ending verbiage, as well as the terms used for left and right. To establish the curve information you desire in the legal description, you specify the fields that you want in the order that you want them. In other words, in this example, the first item in the sequence will be the left and right information, saying turning to the left or right. The second one saying having an arc length of, third, fourth, and fifth. Say, for example, that you did not want the chord length, you could simply remove that field, and now you would only have 4 parameters. The point description can come from a SurvCAD CRD file, can come from the point block inside the drawing, or you can tell it not to use any. Of course, before you put a description, you'll say 2A, and then the description will follow. Suffix rarely used. In the event that there is an unknown point, you can tell it what to use for that, such as point. That's 2A point. Area has a very flexible situation as well. Again, relying on the sequence approach, where you're able to specify, in this case, when done, that it will say having an area of, followed by the area in square feet to 2 decimal places, as well as the acres to 3. General allows you to specify the beginning and ending verbiage of the whole description, information on reference lines, as well as the ability to convert the legal description to uppercase, lowercase, proper, or not converted at all. Lastly, line/paragraph style, very important toggle. When checked on, it will use paragraph format in the output file, which will be very desirable for output to, such as a word processor or a file to be brought into a word processor, because it will not put a carriage return line feed at the end of each call. Instead, it will flow as one long paragraph. Very desirable for a word processor. However, very undesirable if you wish to list it as a table of lines in your drawing. Lastly is the reset command. If you change settings and find you do not like the settings at all, you can revert to the shipping defaults by simply choosing reset. Lastly is the designation of where the output goes. The default is the SCAD viewer, which will bring up the SurvCAD standard report viewer, allowing you to print the report as well as other options. You also have the option of text file. If text file is chosen, you have the ability to type in an output file, which will receive the contents of the legal description. The next option is mText object, which allows you to simply create an mText object in the drawing. We'll take this option for our legal description, choosing OK, picking a starting point and width. You'll notice that it immediately places the legal description in the drawing, ready to go. Thank you.